Welcome to the Security by Default podcast. I'm Joseph Carson, host of the show. In each episode, we make cybersecurity simple with amazing guests who share real-world experiences and insights. So let's get security by default. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Security by Default podcast. I'm the host of the show, Joe Carson, and it's always great to be back here at my favorite time of the week, which is talking to amazing people that I really admire for changing the industry and making the world a better place. So I'm really excited about today's episode, somebody that I've had on a previous podcast that I had in the past. And I'm really excited about the conversation, finding what's new, what's the latest trends, and what's happening in your world. So Ian, welcome back to the podcast. And since it's the first time on this particular show, you want to give the audience a bit of a background about what's your origin story? Where did you start off? Did cybersecurity choose you, or did you choose the industry? And some fun things about yourself.
Amazing. Joe, thank you so much for the invite to the podcast. It's amazing to be here. Yes, to introduce myself, I'm Ian Austin, and I am a co-founder of a company called Pwned Labs. We specialize in cloud and AI security trainings for professionals. In terms of my background, then, I'm kind of an old man now, I guess, in some ways. I've kind of had a career that's about 25 years so far. So I've always been on the technical side. I started off in help desk. In my gap year, when I was, I think, 17, and not my gap year, no. I'm 18, yeah. So in my gap year, I was 18, and I worked at help desk in the school that I was kind of at, and that was a great experience in terms of, getting hands-on with some technology, solving problems, seeing some of the crazy things that happen in the real world as well. And so, yeah, really after that, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, to be honest with you, Joe. I thought, well, I liked English, so I'll kind of let me take English at university. But honestly, it wasn't really for me, I'll be honest. And I left after a year and went straight to full-time work. And I, again, was doing help desk, which kind of moved into system administration. And through the sysadmin things, even like really early into my career, like 1 or 2 years, then I was doing some security stuff also, I was always really interested in security and like packet captures and looking at what was being sent on the wire and stuff like that. Like really, I've always found that really interesting, even from my first years in the industry. And then so moving on, became pretty good at system administration before. Obviously, this is when sysadmins were sysadmins, and now obviously a lot of them have moved into the cloud and become DevOps engineers and stuff like this. Yeah, I kind of got more into security administration. I was kind of drawn to managing the security, the antivirus, the various kind of desktop policies, creating secure images and stuff like that. In later roles, I was still a sysadmin, a bit more of a senior sysadmin at that point, and was kind of looking after the security tooling. So almost a bit like a security administrator, like getting hands-on with a lot of the security tools. And then in another role after that, really kind of transitioned completely from system administration. I was still doing a lot of like support and system administration, but more so my kind of day-to-day was on assurance and penetration testing and stuff like that. So I was getting into that. But at the same time, I wasn't just learning penetration testing. I was using my, at that point, kind of 10 years experience in the industry to also make sure that we had the security controls internally. So it was kind of like a purple focused role. And yeah, fast forward to, a few roles later, I was kind of like a full-blown penetration tester and doing that during the day and realizing, well, I love learning, right? And so I, even in the evenings, I was doing like CTFs and stuff like that. I found Hack the Box, which was an amazing new platform at the time. And it's still an amazing platform. And I was really enjoying some of those machines that people were creating. And I kind of found that with my experience as a sysadmin and security engineer and penetration tester, that I felt like I could contribute some realistic scenarios to the platform, right? So that's kind of what started me creating content. Another thing about creating content, I think, is that it's actually a great way to learn, right? And so I definitely advocate that to any listeners who are saying, well, how can I get like really good at something? You know, creating is a great way to learn as well. So yeah, created some quite a few machines for Hack the Box. They became pretty popular. I started helping out with the moderation of Hack the Box on the forums and stuff like that. And then Harris, who's the CEO of Hack the Box, and James, who's the CTO, they took us out and were like, okay, we kind of want to make this Hack the Box thing an actual company.
Yeah.
And we'd love if you can join us. And at that point, I didn't initially jump at the opportunity, but to be honest with you, it didn't take me too long to process it and realize that I'm pretty passionate about content creation. And so, yeah, I joined Hack the Box at a very early stage, and it's an unbelievable, like, I've got some amazing memories of Hack the Box and, you know, the people there. It's a time in my life where I feel very kind of have really fun memories about. And I kind of headed up the content for Hack the Box. And what I really liked about it as well was that it was probably the first role where I kind of felt like I had my thumb on the pulse of the business as well. Right. And I realized actually this kind of business is something I also really enjoy. It's something I'd been reading audiobooks about or books about like years before, but this was the first time I really had the opportunity, I think, to dive into the business side and realize I liked it. And also, I guess, the marketing side. So I'm a bit of a marketing geek as well. I like that. And so, yeah, that's really was my journey in Hack the Box. And obviously, latterly, really developed a passion for cloud security. And here we are today with Pwned Labs, really, I guess. And so that's, I guess, a bit of my journey so far. But I just kind of want to mention one point about my journey, if I may, which is that.
Absolutely.
So I never really went from a non-security person to a security person straight away, right? It was like a gradual evolution. And I think a lot of the people that I've been speaking with previously in the Hack the Box community and now in the Pwned Labs community have this question, which is, how can I get into the industry? How can I become a penetration tester or something? And I think there's this common kind of perception that if you're doing a specific type of role at the moment, which could be help desk or sysadmin, that you can absolutely not do any security stuff and you have to kind of do this learning and kind of get your certificates, especially if you're kind of early in the industry where certificates are kind of useful, I'd say. But what I would kind of advise to people who are looking to get into the industry is that you can actually take on some security stuff potentially in your existing role, and kind of just, if you start seeing things through the lens of cybersecurity, even if you're doing like system administration or help desk, which to be honest are very security focused roles anyway. But I would definitely advise people to, you know, maybe take on a project, speak to their manager, speak to their team, speak to the developers about, hang on a minute, you know, we have this potential issue here. And if you kind of showcase the value of security and really highlight to them, something that really helps is, for example, a bloodhound map. Like if you can show visually to people in your company how something is possible, then they kind of sit up and take notice and like that. So I'd say don't wait until, like, it's almost like the expression dress for the role that you want. It's it's
the one you
like,
want.
yeah, it's almost like kind of start seeing things as if you were in that role already. And in my experience, people are generally quite receptive to, you know, allowing you to improve things in security, even if you're not in a specific security role already.
Absolutely. It just brought back something. A lot of times, even when I think back when I was doing system administration and, you know, help desk and support roles, and a lot of those roles, when I think about it, a lot of the tools I was using were actually overlapped with what the security team would be using in order to detect as well. When I think back, and when I started off, it was Ethereal, which of course now, you know, we know today as Wireshark. I was doing that for a lot of, you know, packet capture in order to understand why the three-way handshake wasn't working, or why packets were failing, or why sticky bits weren't working. So for me, sometimes there's a lot of crossover in the tooling that we both use. Sometimes it's about learning the same tool you might be using in your day-to-day job, about how to look at it from a security perspective of what things to be looking at. And sometimes that's a very easy, quick start to get into that crossover into the security field. So I love what you're saying, because I love learning as well. That's one of my passions, is continuous learning, is learning new things. And that's one of the reasons why I started the podcast, is so that I can get to talk to some of my favorite people and learn from them, because I learned so much from these interactions.
Mm.
But what I find is in the last 10 years, even when I started doing capture the flags and hack the box and working towards my OSCP as well, that I found that learning can be so much more fun than what it used to be in the past. So in your view, how is the learning evolving from the old traditional? I remember, 20 years ago, I used to go and spend a couple of days in a classroom with an instructor. And I remember when I did my CISSP, it was a book that size that I had to read, know everything in it, spend 5 days with an instructor in the classroom, and go over all the kind of little details in a theoretically scennario. You're going through it in and it was a tough test. But then I, fast forward to a couple of years ago when I did the OSCP, it wasn't a ABCD test. It was like, well, you got to show what you can actually do. So how is the training evolving in your view? Because you've come through this same transition as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've both kind of had that experience, Joe, where when I was taking my MCSA and messaging, then rest in peace firstly to Fabricam and Contos who are no longer going to be with us. But, those sort of scenarios, probably the most interesting things was the actual scenario involving Contoso or Fabricam, where they were trying to implement something and you'd have to figure out, well, what's the ideal solution for those people and stuff like that. That's pretty much as interesting as it got, maybe. Microsoft exams are great, so don't get me wrong, I've got, they're very challenging and they're very rigorous. But obviously, a lot of exams from AWS or Google or Microsoft are very theoretical. It's great to know the theory, but honestly, having the hands-on experience, I guess number one, it means that when it comes to doing it, you feel more comfortable because you have some muscle memory already. And number two, in terms of keeping going with the learning, then having the hands-on and kind of the gamification it's something that is just gonna, if it's something you enjoy, you're gonna keep doing it, right?
And you're gonna pay more attention. You're gonna focus.
You're gonna
listen more.
Exactly. And that's where I feel like companies such as OffSec, Hack the Box, Pwned Labs, and, the whole kind of cybersecurity training industry, but also generally speaking, it's not just us as the cybersecurity vertical. I think everyone is realizing how important it is. If someone enjoys what they do, they're going to learn it better. They're going to learn more. And so there really is an expectation now where I'm hearing a lot of people saying, oh, hey, I'd love to learn more about, for example, pipeline security, or I'd love to learn more about, Azure or something like this. There's almost like an expectation nowadays where by default training has to be gamified. Or, from the perspective of an individual learner. And so that's something where, having these immersive scenarios, having leaderboards, there's various ways you can go about it. Like, for example, if you're learning a language, gamification is something that is very important, but it shouldn't necessarily be the be all to end all. How best to put it? I guess if you're trying to learn French, for example, and you download Duolingo, and it's great because you kind of get these, reward motivators, various sounds playing in the background when you're achieving stuff, and you kind of get a good feeling. But is it really helping you learn French? I'm not sure, right? And so that's where there's this thing with gamification, that if it's something that's just, if you focus on the gamification aspect only, and this can kind of result in people feeling like they're learning, but not actually learning. So I think it's like a trade-off where you need to make sure that you teach the theory, you give students hands-on, and then you have gamification elements that mean that they get kind of their dopamine hit and kind of, submit the flag and feel good. But that's what I would kind of say, is that gamification is important, but we shouldn't be focusing exclusively on gamification, because otherwise you get into a bit of a scenario where it's kind of dubious how much people are actually learning versus just feeling like they're learning and feeling good about something.
I think it also gets in, for me, listening to how you're explaining, it reminds me of the old times when I was doing a lot of the Microsoft and Cisco certifications, which were that very textbook, even, that kind of the theoretical side of things. And then I remember when CBT Nuggets came out, and you had
Yeah.
these video based, which wasn't just about somebody explaining, it was actually you following and learning. And, you would see the video and you would repeat the same steps in your lab. So you would
Yeah.
actually start and you would simulate and start learning about not just the theory, but how to actually configure something in order to make it do something. So you're actually seeing immediate results. And I think that's kind of where you're getting to that really, the simulated side of things. I think what the gamification is really the bridge is bringing the community together, the people together. Because I'm in Estonia. I do a lot of capture the flags with people based in the US and UK and all
Yeah.
over the world. And I think it's really bringing them together. So if you're talking about the example that you mentioned with Duolingo, is that, that's really that, the practical simulation side. I want to practice. But when the gamification is connecting me with somebody in France, and I can actually try and practice having a conversation. It's about taking those learning and saying,
True.
here's other people that you want to book a time with. It's
Yeah.
an engagement side.
You're absolutely right. You're so right. And it's like the expectation now is that learning is also social and it's constructive and you're kind of learning with people. And it's not just an individual thing where me and you might have been looking at the CISSP book or MCS, whatever.
CSC.
Right. Yeah. So that was very solitary. And I mean, still, if you're kind of technical and you like that stuff like we do, we still find enjoyment in it. But honestly, there's so much more to be had through like the struggle of learning, capturing the flag, speaking with other people. And this is where people, I think, like Tyler Ramsby and various other people in the industry are doing a great job because, people also, when they're starting, they kind of don't really know where to start. Looking up to these kind of people in the industry who are saying, well, let's just get stuck in. And just Tyler's journey is also very inspiring in terms of, how, he kind of went from just documenting his progress to really being an inspiration to others. And I think that's something that is very important. It kind of that community aspect. And having like a community in Hack the Box or Try Hack Me or Pwned Labs or whatever company, like I think sometimes companies are too focused on just like the product and they're not focused enough on the community. And the community is such a powerful thing in terms of keeping people within your platform and
Keeping them
having
active,
fun.
keeping them participating, keeping them creating. Because, to your point is that, creating content is one of the fundamental things that keep going. If you just stop creating, eventually it becomes stale. It becomes, it almost feels a little bit about, after using some of the AI models for a couple of months, and if no one's contributing new learning to it, it just becomes, this is very much the same thing, same answers as it was 6 months ago. It's not learning.
Exactly. Similar to me, like you love learning, and me too, like in Pwned Labs, I feel like I'm learning. On the business side, I'm learning. On the content and research side, I'm learning, creating and researching new scenarios. I'm learning from amazing researchers in the industry who are publishing blogs and, some of the people in Pwned Labs as well, who are like investors. So we did a community investment round. I'm not sure if everyone knows this, but we kind of opened up ownership of Pwned Labs to the community and had people signing up to be like a part owner of Pwned Labs, which is incredible. And we've exclusively selected practitioners in the industry. And a lot of these people I'm also learning from, or they're kind of saying, well, almost like challenging things. So I'd say there's a lot of people inside Pwned Labs that I'm learning from, like some of the amazing practitioners that we work with inside Pwned Labs who are like co-instructors or instructors for the various trainings that we have. Yeah, I'm learning a lot from everyone. And to that point, I think if I ever stopped learning, I'd probably stop doing it, right? So if Pwned Labs is this amazing journey, and it's got an amazing team and an amazing community, and I'm really thankful and blessed for the journey we have so far. But I think if I ever stopped learning, I'd probably have to find something else to do.
Because that's, it's what life's all about is finding a passion. It's about having something to keep the motivation going. I think going back, if I was to change things, as I was doing my learning path a couple of years ago, I would have probably tried to find a mentor much earlier in the gamification side, because I did try to do a lot of it alone. I was doing a lot of the boxes all by myself. And then I would sit, trying to figure out, am I having imposter syndrome? am I not good enough to do this? And then realize that it's just about finding somebody with the right knowledge who can help you try to. And one of the things is, I don't want people to do it for me. What I want them to do is explain how I can enhance my skills, or what area to, point me in the right direction so I can maybe do it self-paced, learn it myself, and then
Yeah.
find out where I'm going wrong. So definitely getting that community much earlier, and getting a good network of people who are skilled in certain areas, who can work together as a team. Because ultimately, that's what it is. It's a team effort. It's bringing that team together.
Yeah, I agree. And something that I like to do, I know Tyler Ramsby
Mhm,
also. So Tyler Ramsby has the Hack Smarter community, and
mhm,
obviously we've got the Pwned Labs community. But I feel like both of these communities are very encouraging to beginners. They're very welcoming to beginners. It's not really this kind of elitist thing that you can sometimes get, I guess. But something that me and Tyler both like to do as well is we like to mentor people in our communities. And this isn't like a paid thing, right? And so people can literally just book a time. So yesterday I had a really nice call with someone in our community, and they're like 18 years old
mhm,
and not really sure what to do. So I had a great chat with them. And I feel like there's some things that give me a lot of pleasure. And one is obviously learning
mhm,
and researching, and seeing people kind of change and improve and
mhm,
develop. And so that's why I like mentoring people internally, but also in the community. That it gives me a lot of satisfaction. In terms of me, though, I think that, I'm not just someone who is mentoring others. I get a lot of help, and there's many times, Joe, where I'm
mhm,
like maybe second guessing myself about and so that's really where I kind of just I have many people, to be
mhm,
honest, that I feel I can reach out to and be like, just have a chat with them, and like, is this the right kind of approach? Like, and so again, it comes down to speaking with people in your
mhm.
community, and kind of that kind of process of speaking with someone helps to
Yeah.
kind of clarify things in your own mind, I guess. Whereas if you're just doing something alone, and
Mm.
to be honest, as a founder as well, then it can be quite a solitary journey sometimes. So yeah, I'd say for students, absolutely, this kind of social learning side and joining a community where you can learn with others is the way to go.
Absolutely agree. So one of the things I've always admired with Pwned Labs, and your vision, and kind of taking the new journey and adventure, is that there was definitely a massive gap, and I do still see that gap, and it's great that Pwned Labs is taking a lead in that area, which is around knowledge in cloud environments,
Yeah.
specifically cloud misconfigurations, about you know how to secure clouds, what's the risks and vulnerabilities in cloud environments.
Mm.
And still many organizations struggle with it today, because finding knowledge and finding experienced people who have practical real world knowledge
Yeah.
across a hybrid multiple cloud
Yeah.
environment. What do you see there? Is that something that still is? Are we getting better at it? Are we still have a long way to go?
Good question. So I guess I'll start by saying that we don't just train people in Pwn Labs. So we kind of, we talk the talk, but we also walk the walk in terms of we do penetration testing across the
Mhm.
cloud, AWS, Azure, GCP, M365, and on premises and web. It's a mix, obviously, of configuration reviews and penetration testing and stuff like that. I've kind of got an active GCP engagement that I've been working on this week, and that reminds me I actually need to work on the report today. So I've got that
That's
later on.
the fun part,
Uh,
the
yeah,
hardest part that people don't realize. Sometimes they see our job as exciting and fun, but there's a lot of the tough tasks in the background, such as writing reports.
yeah, the easy part is actually hacking into stuff. The hard part is the report. What we're seeing generally, I guess, in our engagements is that cloud is hard, just like on-prem is hard. In general, any sufficiently complex system is hard to secure, right? And I wouldn't say that cloud is necessarily more secure than on-prem. On-prem isn't going away. It's going to be there.
It's going to be there. It's like we have data sovereignty and other things that force that to be in existence for a long time.
Exactly. You're right. There is this kind of, a lot of companies are thinking about the cloud. I'd say it's true to say that there is an increasing or kind of a really strong trend for companies to, be implementing some sort of hybrid multi-cloud architecture. And, whatever stage they're on in that journey, whether they're kind of migrating workloads to the cloud or they're kind of thinking about it. Many companies are kind of choosing bits from each cloud platform as well. And if I was in a company, Joe, I'd be like, to be honest, I wouldn't use that service because I know, for example, it's easy to enumerate externally for a threat actor. I'd use this service from that one. I'd use so I'd kind of cherry pick the services and create this kind of hybrid multi-cloud environment. And that's what a lot of companies are doing as well. They're kind of choosing the best bits from each. Obviously, a lot of companies also are Active Directory and Microsoft shops, and Azure and M365 just makes a natural transition. But obviously, there's really strong reasons for going for GCP and AWS in terms of the breadth of services available and the cost efficiency as well that you can get for some workloads. There is also it's fair to say as well that there is also a repatriation effect where companies try the cloud for certain workloads, realize, actually, you know what? It's probably better if we have this on-prem. So they kind of repatriate that. But in general, I'd say that net, there is an increasing trend to the cloud. And there is also this kind of assumption sometimes that you can take a workflow that existed on-prem and create it now in the cloud, and it's just going to be secure. You don't really have to worry about it. But yeah, there's a huge need for people to be able to secure these cloud environments. And for sure, like what we're doing, which is obviously cybersecurity, cloud security, and now AI security, I'd say to the people who are looking to get a really good career that will allow them to kind of get enjoyment from their career and hopefully financially do very well as well, cloud security and AI and that's kind of at the nexus of three really strong growth factors. And even with AI kind of being, on that crazy journey since ChatGPT launched or even before that, right? Where we're kind of worrying a bit now, like, well, what's AI going to be able to do in 2 years? And so everyone's kind of got this kind of feeling maybe that, as a young person who's kind of like looking to get into the industry, maybe they're at university now, maybe they're just starting their career and they're thinking, well, what would be a safe bet for me that's not going to be completely automated in 2 years' time, right?
What's going to be a position that's not going to be a bot by the time you're starting your career?
Exactly. And so that's why I'd say with AI obviously being cloud first, with SaaS being like, it used to be where you could maybe pwn an Active Directory domain and get access to everything inside. But more so nowadays, it's like the actual secret source, well, not the secret source, but a lot of the important data is hosted in SaaS that is maybe authenticated using a Google login or a Microsoft login. And so you have this kind of thing there where you can potentially gain access to all the data in the company without even compromising their Active Directory environments. Yeah, for sure. Cloud security is something that is growing for sure. And on-premises isn't going away. It's going to stay there. But if you're looking to get into the industry and you're looking to kind of, you've got a choice, I'd say that cloud security, AI, and so these are careers that won't be replaced by AI, but you'll kind of be augmented with it.
It'll be an assisted, with AI knowledge. You'll have lots of assistants helping you navigate the way. One of the things I kind of, since you're into the continuous learning side of things yourself, what's the way that you stay up to date? Is there, events, conferences, podcasts, books, audiobooks? What's anything recently you've listened to or read that was insightful? What's the way that you stay up to date? And do you have also any mentors that you look to for advice and direction?
Yeah, good question. So I think probably 5 to 10 years ago, I was doing a lot of reading in terms of business because I realized that was something I really wanted to get into. And so I did a lot of reading on that. But in terms of the technical side, it's just every day there's like a blog article or something like that or some research. And so how I stay up to date is I kind of focus on things that interest me. If it doesn't interest me, I don't really give it any time. And so that's what I'd say to people as well, is to follow what your actual interests are, what you enjoy, because you're just going to learn so much more, because it's going to be easy just to read something and learn. So yeah, that's how I stay up to date, is just through reading a lot of blogs. There's some giants in the industry. There's so many people in the industry who are doing amazing things and also share their learnings with the community and create a blog on it, or maybe they create a lab on it, or however they do it. These are people that I kind of learn from generally, and just reading some of their articles, it's like, wow. Like, for example, recently we had this whole thing with CI/CD workflows, embedding AI and LLM. It's like, I didn't even know about that. But this is this whole kind of attack surface that is really interesting to me. And so I'm planning a lab on this next. The next AI and Azure lab is going to be based on that. So it's like GitHub Actions, embedding AI agents, and moving into, you know, some really fun exploitation steps after that. So I learn a lot through creating, honestly, through researching, creating scenarios. It's what I enjoy. Like, I probably wouldn't be doing this if I didn't enjoy that, right? So that's kind of how I learn. Conferences and stuff like that can also be interesting. Listening to people sharing their experience and having different perspectives is something I like as well. But yeah, generally it's kind of also in the community. There's lots of people asking questions in the Pwned Labs community, like, oh, what about this? What about that? And inevitably, even if I'm in the middle of something, I'll kind of probably stop and I'll chase down a rabbit hole and find out the answer and kind of learn something along the way as well.
I'll definitely make sure that for the audiences, you know, for the Pwned Labs Discord channel, I'll add the link to the show, so they do want to participate and join the community.
Yeah,
they have an easy way of finding it.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
If the audience does have any questions or want to follow up or want to contact you afterwards, just to kind of get some insights, some direction, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Well, that would be amazing. Firstly, so on LinkedIn, you can reach out to me there. Happy to have a chat. Discord, that would be a really good place to reach out to me. My name is my handle there is EGRE55, and I'm kind of in the top right. If you just click on me, you can send me a message. Honestly, happy to chat about anything, whether it's your career, if you'd like some guidance or just someone to talk to about something. Always happy to jump on a call or just have a chat in Discord or whatever. So yeah, LinkedIn or Discord would be the best places, I'd say. And yeah.
That's it. Ian, it's been awesome having you on. That's really great to hear the journey that you've been on and what you've been up to these last couple of years. It's always fantastic. And what you're doing for me, you know, is you're making the learning path and the knowledge path a lot easier for many of us who need it in the industry. So thank you for everything you're doing. So for the audience, hopefully this has been an interesting, valuable episode for you. Lots of learning, lots of new things, lots of places to go and look into search and see if you can actually find more possibilities to learn new skills and to find out new platforms. So for the audience, this is the Security by Default podcast. Tune in every 2 weeks for new episodes, new guests, and new insights. So everyone stay safe, take care. Until next time, thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it.
Well, that's a wrap for this episode of the Security by Default podcast. I'm Joseph Carson, and again, many thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe and share, and please stay safe. And until the next time, we'll see you soon.